Lakshman Kadam, Head Department of Accountancy, Jaisingpur College, Jaisingpur. Today we will discuss the last one chapter, last one unit of the BCom 3 Advanced Accountancy subject, that is ratio analysis. Here we will study the meaning of ratios and ratio analysis, advantages of ratio analysis, limitations, and also classification of ratios. Okay, this is our syllabus. First we will see what is meant by ratio. A ratio can be defined as the indicated quotient of two mathematical expressions. Two mathematical expressions. Or you can say numerical or an arithmetical relationship between two figures. Numerical or arithmetical relationship between two figures. It means there will be two figures, different figures which are interrelated, which are associated with, and we are expressing their relations. The relationship between two accounting items expressed mathematically can be called as ratio. And famously, for which we are concerned with accounting ratio. Accounting ratio shows interrelationship between the two accounting figures. One accounting figure and second accounting figure. Say for example, net profit and sales. If we establish the relationship between these two figures, profit and sales, then it is accounting ratio. Accounting ratio is a relationship between two figures supplied by financial statements. You know the financial statement, that is profit loss account and balance sheet are called as financial statements. Okay. If we took some figures from either from the balance sheet or from the profit loss account or from the both, and if we establish the relationship between these two figures, it is called as accounting ratio. So ratio means the relationship between two figures. Ratio means relationship between two figures. The relation which is expressed numerically. Numerically means in digits, in numbers. Ratios can be expressed by three ways. One is generally we use, that is two form. Two form means 2 to 1, 5 to 3, 7 to 5, in this way. Second is in rate form, that is double, triple, or you will say 4 times, 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, in this way. And third, very famous, that is percentage form. You can express the ratio in percentage, that is 20%, 30%, 50%, 75%, whatever it may be. It means the ratios can be expressed by three ways. In which form it should be expressed depends upon the analyst, depends upon the data, depends upon the convenience and the purpose. Okay? So any form can be used for the purpose. What are the advantages of ratio analysis? The very first important advantage of the ratio analysis is it analyzes the financial position. What is the financial position of the business can be understood by the help of ratio analysis. It also simplifies accounting figures. Some figures may not be understood, but when we analyze it with the help of ratio analysis, we can understand what is the figure, what is the amount, what it suggests. Okay? It also assesses operational efficiency. It also assesses operational efficiency. Efficiency in the sense, say for example, if you want to know what is the percentage of a profit, what is the profitability of the concern, you can assess with the help of ratio analysis. What is the efficiency? You can assess it by using the turnover ratios. It means that you can assess the operational efficiency either in the form of profitability, in the form of turnover, in the form of efficiency, whatever it may be. Okay? So it helps for the checking, verifying the efficiency. Express the trend of change, how it changed. If we calculated the ratios for past 4, 5, 10 years, then we can know what is the trend of change. Say for example, if you have calculated gross profit ratio for the last 5 years, okay, then you can understand how the gross profit is changed, whether it is increased or whether it is decreased, in which form it is increased or decreased, you can understand. It means it helps us to know the trend of the business activity. And if we know the business activity trend, then we can forecast for the future. Suppose for example, if the rate of gross profit is continuously increasing, then we can predict that in the coming year, in the next year, the gross profit may increase. So it is also helpful for forecasting. The most important advantage of the ratio analysis is that it locates the strengths and weaknesses of the business, the strengths and weaknesses of the organization. Where the organization is strong and where the organization is weak can be located with the help of various ratios. Profitability ratio, turnover ratio, efficiency ratio. We can use this during the course of our lecture. You can understand that we can locate the weaknesses, weak points and strengths of the business concern with the help of this ratio analysis. Next is it facilitates inter-firm comparison as well as intra-firm comparison. What is inter-firm comparison? When we compare one company, one organization, one concern with the another concern, another company or another forum, that is called as inter-firm comparison. Say for example, A company is there, B company is there. If you are comparing balance sheet of A company and B company, then it is called as inter-firm comparison. And what is meant by intra-firm comparison? When we compare one year's data or one period's data with another period's data of the same concern, then it is called as intra-firm comparison. Say for example, if you compare the profit figure of the last 2 years of the same company, the company is same. You are comparing the gross profit for the suppose 18, 19, 19, 20 in this way. Then it is called as intra-firm comparison. With the help of ratio analysis, we facilitate the intra-firm and inter-firm comparison. It also guides and helps us for managerial decisions. What is to be done? You know, the most important task of the management is taking decisions. And for taking decisions, data is essential. Not only the data, but the analyzed form of the data. Analyzed form of the data is essential. Ratio analysis provides the required data for the management, which is helpful for the decision making. Though the ratio analysis having so many advantages, it also has some limitations. Disadvantages you will say. The very first disadvantage is that if the basic accounting data is incorrect, automatically whatever ratios that you have calculated will be wrong. Ratio analysis is the analysis of the past, history analysis, historical analysis. It means it analyzes those figures which have already taken place. We can know the trend, but it cannot be much used to that extent, to that accuracy for prediction of the future. Because we may know the trend, but because of business complexities, changing environment, changing situations, whatever you have seen in the past will not happen in the future. So the ratio analysis will not be much helpful for the prediction of the future also. Besides, variation of accounting methods. Suppose there are two firms. And both are using different methods of accounting. Then at such time, in intra-firm and inter-firm comparison may become very difficult. It also does not consider the price level changes. You know, every day, every month, every time, the prices of various commodities and services are changing. But the ratio analysis does not consider such changes. Besides, no standards are available for each ratio. Common standards ratio are not available, and practically it is also very difficult to set the standards because the standards changes according to the business to business, industry to industry, concern to concern. It is not possible to set the standards. Besides, different meanings of various accounting terms. Some terms are having different meanings. Say for example profit. Profit means gross profit may be there, maybe net profit, maybe operating profit. So profit has a different meanings, and because of this it creates some limitations on the ratio analysis. In addition to this, different methods of accounting may be implemented by the firm itself or two separate firms. If the method of accounting changes, at such time the ratio analysis becomes difficult, and the ratio analysis does not consider the qualitative factors. Then we will go for the important terms. We will go for the important terms which are used in the ratio analysis. The first is what is meant by quick or liquid assets. The quick asset or liquid assets is new term for you. Liquid assets means current assets minus stock and prepaid expenses. So all current assets except stock and prepaid expenses are considered as quick assets or liquid assets. The next definition is quick or liquid liabilities. Liquid liabilities means current liabilities minus bank overdraft. It means all current liabilities except the bank overdraft are called as quick liabilities or liquid liabilities. Most of the times average inventory is required. So average inventory means opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2. Next is cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold means opening stock plus purchases plus expenses from purchases. If there is manufacturing expenses minus closing stock is equal to the cost of goods sold. Okay. It can also be calculated by using another one formula, that is sales minus gross profit. There are two formulae. One is opening stock plus purchases plus expenses of purchases plus manufacturing expenses minus closing stock is equal to cost of goods sold, or another formula, second formula, that sales minus gross profit, that is called as cost of goods sold. Operating expenses means all expenses minus non-operating expenses. It means we will consider all operating expenses only. When we exclude non-operating expenses from the total expenses, it is called as operating expenses, or we can calculate it by adding various expenses, that is office and administrative expenses plus selling and distribution expenses plus finance expenses is equal to operating expenses. Then non-operating expenses, for example, loss on sale of assets, loss on sale of investments, goodwill written off, patents written off, or any other intangible assets written off can be non-operating expenses. We will continue. Operating profit. Operating profit means gross profit minus operating expenses. Operating profit means gross profit minus operating expenses. Only we will deduct operating expenses and we will get net operating profit. So gross profit we have to take, and from this gross profit we will deduct only operating expenses. We will exclude, we will not consider the non-operating expenses. Then it will be called as operating profit. It can be also calculated by a different way, that is net profit plus non-operating expenses is equal to operating profit. Reverse method. Then fixed interest bearing securities. Generally there are two fixed interest bearing securities. One is debenture and second is long term loans. But it may add that preference share capital, because preference share holders receive the dividend at fixed rate. So preference share capital plus debentures plus long term loans totally called as fixed interest bearing securities. Then outsiders funds means debentures and long term loans. The next term which is used in this ratio analysis is common equity. Common equity means equity share capital plus reserve surplus minus fictitious assets and losses. Equity share capital plus reserve surplus minus fictitious assets and losses will be termed as common equity. Then proprietors funds or shareholders funds, or it may be called as net worth. It is equal to equity share capital plus preferred share capital plus reserve surplus minus fictitious assets and losses is equal to proprietors funds, or you may say shareholders funds or net worth. It means common equity plus preferred share capital. Common equity plus preferred share capital is equal to proprietors funds. And then next is capital employed. Capital employed is equal to equity share capital plus preferred share capital plus debentures plus long-term loans plus reserve surplus minus fictitious assets and losses. It means in another way you can say that capital employed is equal to proprietors funds plus debentures plus long-term loans is equal to capital employed. It means just you have to add debentures and long-term loans to get the capital employed in proprietors fund. The ratios can be classified in 4 ways. In your syllabus, it is specifically mentioned the classification of ratios and 4 types of ratios. You have given one is profitability ratio, second is turnover ratio, then solvency ratios and liquidity ratios. These 4 types of ratios are included in your syllabus. We will consider all these. First, we will see profitability ratios. Profitability ratios means the ratios which shows the profit earning capacity. Profit earning capacity of the business concern. Some ratios are there. Famous ratios are gross profit ratio, very simple formula. Gross profit ratio is equal to gross profit divided by net sales into 100. Then net profit ratio, very simple formula. Net profit divided by net sales into 100. Okay. Operating profit ratio, operating profit divided by net sales into 100. You know how to calculate the operating profit, just we have discussed in various terms. So by using these terms you can calculate the operating profit. Operating ratio, 2 ratios are different, operating profit ratio and operating ratio. Operating ratio is equal to cost of goods sold plus operating expenses divided by net sales into 100. Cost of goods sold plus operating expenses divided by net sales into 100. This is the formula for operating ratio. We can also calculate the specific expenses ratio. Suppose you want to know what is the relation between a specific expenses to the sales. Say for example, office and administrative expenses. What is the percentage? What is the ratio between the office and administrative expenses and sales? Office and administrative expenses and sales. Then you can calculate office and administrative expenses divided by sales into 100. By this way you can calculate the specific expenses ratio. Next is return on capital employed ratio. Return on capital employed. We can calculate the capital employed by just using the formula just we have discussed. That is, return on capital employed is equal to net profit before interest and tax divided by capital employed. Here you have to know net profit before interest and tax. Before interest and tax, before deducting the interest and tax, we have to calculate net profit, and that can be used here. Okay, so net profit before interest and tax divided by capital employed into 100. Return on net worth, net profit before tax divided by net worth into 100. Net profit before tax. Previously I was used the net profit before interest and tax. Now the word interest is avoided. Okay. Net profit before tax divided by net worth into 100. It is the formula for calculating return on net worth. Next is return on total assets ratio. Return on total assets. Here we will use simple net profit divided by total assets into 100. Okay. So you should be very careful while calculating the return on capital employed ratio. because at that time you have to calculate net profit before interest and tax, okay, and also calculating the return on net worth ratio, where you have to calculate net profit before tax, net profit before tax, okay. For the calculation of return on total assets, it's very simple. You will use net profit as it is, net profit divided by total assets into 100. This is the formula. Next is some profitability ratios are also called as market test ratios. Market test ratios, because these ratios show earning capacity as well as what will be the price of the equity share in the stock market. Okay, one of these is price earning ratio. Price earning ratio is equal to market price per equity share divided by earning per equity share. Market price per equity share divided by earning per equity share. Dividend yield ratio. Next is dividend yield ratio. The formula is dividend per equity share divided by market value per equity share. And next is earning per share. Earning per share. Net profit after interest, tax and people's dividend. I repeat, net profit after interest, tax and people's dividend divided by number of equity shares. It means earning per share means earning per equity share. What of the portion? What is the portion of the net profit is available for equity shareholders? We will consider here. The portion of the net profit which is available for equity shareholders we will consider here. So net profit is taken after interest, tax and also preference dividend. Okay. These are the some profitability ratios. Okay. Next type of the ratio is activity ratio or turnover ratio, or it may be called as efficiency ratio. The first efficiency ratio is inventory turnover ratio, very common, very famous. The formula is cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Average inventory means opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2. Okay. Next is debtors turnover ratio. It may be called as receivables turnover ratio. The formula is debtors plus bills receivables. Debtors plus bills receivable divided by sales into 360, or sometimes it may be taken as 365, but generally it is multiplied by 360. Okay. Next is fix the assets turnover ratio. Fix the assets turnover ratio. The formula is very simple. Net sales divided by fixed assets. Net sales divided by fixed assets. Okay. Very simple. We will continue the activity ratios or efficiency ratios or turnover ratios. Next is current assets turnover ratio. Current assets turnover ratio. Very simple formula. Net sales divided by current assets. Net sales divided by current assets. Total assets turnover ratio or sales to capital employed ratio. Here the net sales will be divided by total assets. So net sales divided by total assets is equal to total assets turnover ratio. And working capital turnover ratio. Working capital turnover ratio. Very simple formula. Net sales divided by working capital. Net sales divided by working capital. This will be the formula for calculating working capital turnover ratio. Next is capital employed turnover ratio. Sales divided by capital. Net sales divided by capital employed. Very simple. In the title itself is you can find the formula. In the title itself you can find the formula, that is sales divided by capital employed. Then sometimes we can calculate the creditors turnover ratio. Creditors turnover ratio. The formula is credit purchases divided by creditors plus bills payable. Okay, credit purchases divided by creditors plus bills payables means all payables will be considered here. The next type of the ratio is solvency ratios. Sometimes it is also called as leverage ratios. Solvency ratios, or sometimes it is called as leverage. Solvency here means long term solvency. Solvency means here long term solvency. Okay. The first ratio is debt equity ratio. Very famous ratio, that is debt equity ratio or total liabilities to proprietors fund ratio. Total liabilities to proprietors fund ratio. The formula is total debt divided by net worth. Total debt divided by net worth. You can use another one formula, that is outsiders liabilities divided by shareholders fund. Outsiders liabilities divided by shareholders fund. Or you may say long-term liabilities divided by shareholders fund. Any one formula you can use for the calculation of debt equity ratio. Next is proprietary ratio or tangible net worth to total assets ratio. Tangible net worth to total assets ratio, or you can say capital to total assets ratio. The very simple formula, that is proprietors fund divided by total assets. You know how to calculate the proprietors fund, just we have discussed. So calculate proprietors fund divided by total assets, you can get equity ratio. Okay, proprietary ratio or equity ratio. Next is fixed assets to tangible net worth ratio. Fixed assets to tangible net worth ratio or fixed asset ratio. The formula is return down value of fixed assets. Not we will consider here the cost. Okay, we will consider WDV, means return down value of fixed asset divided by net worth. This formula will be used to calculate the fixed assets ratio. Next ratio is current assets to proprietors fund ratio. Current assets to proprietors fund ratio, that is current assets divided by proprietors funds. Very simple formula. Then capital gearing ratio. Most of the times this ratio is asked, that is capital gearing ratio. Formula is equity share capital plus reserve surplus. Equity share capital plus reserve surplus divided by preferred share capital plus debentures and long-term loans. It means equity share capital plus reserve surplus divided by fixed interest bearing securities, that is preferred share capital, debentures and long-term loans. Okay, this is the formula for calculating capital gearing ratio. Next is debt to assets ratio. Debt to assets ratio. The formula is total debt divided by total assets. Debt means loans. Total debt divided by total assets. Next is interest coverage ratio, or it may be simply called as coverage ratio. Okay, interest coverage ratio is profit before interest and tax divided by total interest charges. Profit before interest and tax divided by total interest charges. This is the formula for calculating interest coverage ratio. Then next type of the ratio is liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio is also called as short-term solvency ratio. Short-term solvency ratio, that is liquidity income or liquidity ratio. First is current ratio, or it is also called the 2-to-1 ratio. Current ratio is equal to current assets divided by current liabilities. Current assets divided by current liabilities. Next is quick ratio or liquid ratio or equal ratio. Quick ratio or liquid ratio or equal ratio. The formula is quick assets divided by quick liabilities. Quick assets divided by quick liabilities. We have seen how to calculate the quick assets and quick liabilities. So just calculate quick assets divided by quick liabilities, you will get quick ratio. Next one is many times used, that is absolute liquidity ratio. Absolute liquidity ratio or super quick ratio. Super quick ratio. The formula is cash balance plus bank balance plus short-term marketable investments that can be sold in the market immediately. It is possible. Then that will be included here. Cash balance plus bank balance plus short-term marketable securities. Okay, divided by current liabilities. This ratio will be calculated to find out the liquidity position of the concern. There are some other types of ratio, but these are not included in our syllabus. They may be market-based ratio that we have considered to some extent in profitability ratios, coverage ratios, stability ratios, leverage ratio, operating leverage, financial leverage, Also there are some cash flow ratios, also there are some cash position ratios, but we will not go in deep. Our syllabus includes only 4 types of ratios that we have seen here, that we have discussed here. We have totally discussed them. What is meant by ratio, or classification of ratio, advantages of ratio, limitations of ratio, all the formulas of calculating the ratios. All 4 types of ratios that we have considered. Generally, the profitability ratios are expressed in the form of percentage. Profitability ratios are generally expressed in the form of percentage, and other ratios may be expressed in any two forms. That is rate form or pure ratio form. Rate form or pure ratio form. You can use any of these two forms, but generally profitability ratios are expressed in the percentage form. Okay, are you clear with the formulas? Are you clear with the ratio analysis? Okay, fine.